You know, there's something truly intriguing about humanity's relationship with existence. We move through our days desperately grasping at everything within reach: wealth, connections, affiliations, concepts of our identity, our goals, the outcomes we expect, and then we're puzzled by our constant feelings of exhaustion, worry, and endless discontent. It's comparable to attempting to hold water in your clasped palms. The harder you grip, the quicker it escapes between your fingers. Yet hold your hands loosely and the water remains there, fresh and pleasant. Today I'd like to discuss one of the most freeing realizations available to you in this existence. That as you release your grip, life becomes more abundant, not diminished. I'm not presenting this as some ethereal commitment or divine transaction. I'm stating it as a tangible, verifiable truth about reality's actual functioning. However, we need to clarify what releasing means, because there's considerable confusion surrounding this concept. Many believe that releasing means becoming inactive, detached, or negligent. That surrendering your grip means sacrificing your drive, your compassion for others, your capacity to accomplish tasks. This is absurd, completely absurd. Releasing isn't about withdrawing from existence. It's about immersing yourself more deeply in it. It's the distinction between struggling upstream, against the flow, depleting yourself through resistance, and discovering how to flow with the current, harnessing its energy to propel you onward. Consider an expert performer. When a violinist plays, are their fingers clenching the bow with frantic tension? Certainly not. Their hold is steady enough to guide the bow, yet loose enough to allow the melody to emerge. Gripping too firmly would make the sound strained and robotic. Gripping too weakly would produce no sound whatsoever. There exists an ideal equilibrium, a fluid harmony between grasping and releasing. This is precisely the approach we must take toward existence. Not with the desperate clutch of someone afraid of losing command, but with the assured ease of someone who recognizes that command was never real to begin with. The truth is, we operate under this enormous misconception that we're meant to be the orchestrators of the universal drama, that through sufficient planning, adequate worrying, and tight enough management, we can shape everything according to our desires. But existence operates differently. Existence resembles a vast stream, and we're like foliage drifting on its current. We can determine our manner of floating, but we cannot dictate the stream's destination. Those who haven't mastered the art of releasing spend their whole lives resisting the stream. They struggle desperately attempting to travel against the flow, exhausting themselves in an unwinnable conflict. Those who have learned the practice of releasing uncover something extraordinary. They realize they can work with the currents. They can select which tributary to follow. They can even affect their trajectory, but they accomplish this by cooperating with the water, not opposing it. Allow me to share a tale that demonstrates this beautifully. There was once a gentleman who possessed a magnificent garden. He devoted every conscious hour caring for it, fretting over it, attempting to manage every element of its development. He would hover over his vegetation, insisting they develop more quickly, more upright, more attractively. He would become furious at the climate when it disappointed him. He would remain wakeful through the night, troubled by insects and illnesses and every potential catastrophe. And what was the outcome? His garden was unremarkable at best. The vegetation appeared restricted, troubled, missing the organic vibrancy that creates a truly splendid garden. Then one day, drained from years of this battle, he simply released his grip, not by neglecting the garden, but by relinquishing his compulsion to manage every particular. He maintained his planting, watering, and weeding, but with a transformed quality of awareness. He completed his tasks and then withdrew. He permitted the garden to exist as itself. The outcome was enchanting. The vegetation started to thrive in unprecedented ways. The garden acquired its own character, its own tempo, its own distinctive magnificence. By releasing his obsession with control, he had provided the garden the freedom it required to reach its full potential. This is precisely what occurs in our existence. As we loosen our insistence on how circumstances should unfold, we generate more room for circumstances to become extraordinary in ways beyond our imagination. But now it becomes truly fascinating. The majority of us are frightened of releasing our grip because we believe it will result in losing everything. We imagine that without constant alertness, persistent effort, and continuous anxiety, our lives will crumble. This apprehension stems from a basic misperception of reality's true nature. You aren't disconnected from the cosmos. You aren't a tiny, solitary entity fighting for survival in an antagonistic environment. You are the cosmos itself manifesting as your individual form in this specific moment and location. When you genuinely comprehend this, not merely conceptually, but deeply within yourself, the anxiety about releasing begins to fade. Consider your heartbeat. Must you consciously remember to keep your heart pumping? Do you rest at night actively managing its tempo? Obviously not. Your heart functions independently, flawlessly, and efficiently, requiring no conscious effort whatsoever. This isn't due to negligence or lack of responsibility. It's because your heart operates within an immense intelligence that functions precisely as intended. Similarly, your existence is embedded within this same immense intelligence. When you release control, you aren't surrendering to disorder. You're permitting existence's profound wisdom to flow through you. Here's something that will astonish you. The very things you dread losing through letting go are frequently the exact obstacles preventing you from accepting what life truly wishes to offer you. That position. You cling to out of anxiety, despite it causing you unhappiness. By releasing your fear of instability, you welcome opportunities for genuinely satisfying work. Those blueprints you've created for how your existence should develop. By abandoning your attachment to them, you enable life to present you with opportunities far more magnificent than anything you could have designed. This doesn't suggest you abandon planning. It doesn't indicate you become uninvolved in your connections or career. It signifies you maintain your plans loosely, like a bird perched in your hand, firm enough to provide safety, gentle enough to let it depart when appropriate. The Chinese possess an elegant principle called wu-wei, typically interpreted as non-doing or action without effort. It doesn't signify inactivity. It signifies operating in alignment with things' natural rhythm. It's the contrast between struggling with a jammed door and discovering the correct approach to opening it. The door opens regardless. You notice chances you overlooked when you are concentrated solely on your preset objectives. You draw in individuals and situations that resonate with your authentic self instead of struggling for things that were never suitable for you to begin with. But most significantly perhaps, you find tranquility, genuine tranquility, not the fleeting satisfaction that arrives from obtaining your desires, but the profound, unwavering tranquility that emerges from understanding that you are precisely where you must be, receiving precisely what you must receive at every instant. This doesn't indicate existence becomes simple or that you never encounter difficulties. It means you confront difficulties from an entirely transformed perspective. Rather than being victimized by situations, you become an interested participant in existence's magnificent performance. Challenges transform into riddles to figure out instead of catastrophes, to prevent hardships from becoming chances for development instead of proof that existence opposes you. Allow me to tell you something that might seem contradictory. As you release more, you actually gain more, yet what you gain is frequently unlike what you believed you desired, and that's its splendor. Existence understands better than you what will genuinely bring you happiness. Your intellect believes it knows your requirements. It maintains its small inventory, greater wealth, superior employment, an ideal partnership, acknowledgement, safety, and it expends enormous effort attempting to obtain these items. But existence, with its boundless wisdom, understands that what you genuinely require is to transform into the type of individual who can completely receive and value whatever comes your way. When you release control, you cease fixating on acquiring things. You start recognizing what you possess already, and what you possess already is remarkable. You possess awareness, the capacity to perceive anything whatsoever. You possess this instant with all its distinctive qualities and potential. You possess respiration flowing through your form, sustaining your life without any conscious effort. You possess faculties that can detect beauty, an intellect that can comprehend and generate, an emotional capacity for love. When you truly perceive this, when you genuinely experience the richness that's already present, your relationship with desire transforms entirely. You cease clutching frantically for more and begin fully valuing what exists. And when you accomplish this, something enchanting occurs. Additional blessings arrive, yet they appear as presents instead of rewards you've fought to earn. Reflect on the individuals you find most enjoyable to spend time with. Are they those who constantly demand attention or perpetually seek your validation and approval? Or are they those who are at ease with who they are, who appear self-sufficient, who offer their focus and vitality generously? Clearly, it's the latter group. These individuals possess an attractive quality because they've discovered the paradox of obtaining through releasing, of acquiring by surrendering. When you cease desperately craving, when you abandon your fixation on specific results, you transform into this type of person. You become someone that existence delights in blessing because you're not approaching from a mindset of insufficiency and expectation. You're approaching from a state of abundance and faith. Here's an alternative perspective on this concept. Picture yourself at a lavish banquet, yet you're so preoccupied with stockpiling the bread that you fail to recognize the magnificent cuisine being presented everywhere around you. You depart the banquet feeling unsatisfied and empty, gripping your hardened bread, having completely overlooked the genuine feast. This represents how most of us approach existence. We concentrate so fixedly on accumulating and safeguarding the limited things we believe we require that we overlook the remarkable richness being presented to us constantly. The practice of releasing is discovering faith that the banquet is genuine, that there's sufficient for all, that hoarding is unnecessary because abundance continuously flows. But how do you genuinely implement this? How do you master the art of releasing when every impulse urges you to grip more firmly? Begin modestly. The following time you're trapped in congested traffic, rather than becoming furious about the inconvenience, practice releasing. You cannot influence the traffic, yet you can manage your reaction to it. Take deep breaths, enjoy some music, utilize the period to relax your thoughts. Observe how significantly more agreeable the situation becomes when you cease resisting reality. The following time someone offers criticism, rather than instantly becoming defensive, pause momentarily. Allow the critique to simply exist without immediately needing to correct it or contest it. You may find something valuable within it, or you may recognize it reflects more about their perspective than about you. Regardless, you needn't allow it to disrupt your inner calm. The following time your plans fail, rather than viewing it as defeat, view it as existence presenting you an alternative route. Perhaps it's superior. Perhaps it's instructing you about something essential. Perhaps it's shielding you from something currently invisible to you. Practice maintaining loose attachment to your viewpoints. You needn't discard your convictions, yet you can reduce your attachment to being correct. When someone expresses disagreement, you can respond with interest instead of defensiveness. Consider the possibility they possess insight you haven't encountered. Consider whether both viewpoints might have validity. Practice this with your feelings. When anxiety emerges, don't reflexively attempt to eliminate it. Simply allow its presence. Experience it thoroughly. Frequently, when we cease battling our feelings, they naturally shift. Anxiety can transform into anticipation. Frustration can become understanding. Melancholy can become direction. As you practice these minor acts of releasing, it becomes increasingly natural to surrender control over more significant matters. You start cultivating what I describe as assured ease. You perform your utmost, you create your strategies, you execute your decisions, and then you entrust the results to existence's greater intelligence. This doesn't render you inactive or incompetent. On the contrary, when you're not depleting energy through anxiety and micromanagement, you possess considerably more energy for genuine innovation and accomplishment. When you're not fixated on one particular result, you can perceive numerous options and select the optimal one. When you're not perpetually on the defensive, you can genuinely perceive what existence is attempting to communicate. Here's something remarkable that occurs when you authentically master the art of releasing. You realize that you never possessed genuine control to begin with. That sensation of control you were desperately struggling to preserve was merely an illusion. The cosmos has been sustaining you throughout. Your heart has continuously pumped, your respiratory system has functioned, your digestive process has operated, your wounds have mended, all occurring without any deliberate effort on your part. Once you recognize this, once you genuinely comprehend that you're being sustained by an intelligence vastly superior to your anxious thoughts, releasing control ceases to resemble descending and begins to resemble soaring. The complete act of surrendering is recognizing that there exists no isolated self to surrender initially. You aren't a water droplet attempting to endure within the sea. You are the sea momentarily manifesting as a droplet. When you genuinely grasp this concept, the anxiety about losing vanishes entirely, because what could the sea possibly lose? Even if this profound comprehension appears overly theoretical, you can still implement the practice of releasing in highly tangible methods. And through doing so, you'll uncover something delightful. Existence becomes more enjoyable when you're not treating everything with such gravity. When you're not frantically attempting to dictate results, you can relish the journey. You can welcome the unexpected developments. You can find humor in the universal ironies. You transform into a youngster exploring a garden, enchanted by whatever blossoms appear, intrigued about what will unfold subsequently, unconcerned whether the garden is developing according to some preset blueprint. And here's the concluding magnificent paradox. As you release more, you realize that you've always possessed everything you were searching for, not through accumulating additional possessions, but through recalling how to recognize the richness that was perpetually present. The affection you sought was already within your capability to express love. The safety you pursued was already within your capacity to encounter. Whatever arrives with awareness and elegance, the contentment you chased was already accessible through your readiness to value this instant precisely as it exists. Therefore, I encourage you to commence today. Select one minor thing you've been clutching too firmly, an anxiety, a strategy, an anticipation, a compulsion to be correct, and softly, like releasing a bird from your palm. Release it. Don't perform this action with theatrics or strain. Execute it with the serene assurance of someone who understands that whatever is destined to arrive will arrive, and whatever is destined to depart will depart. And then observe. Observe what transpires when you generate that openness. Observe how existence floods in to occupy it, frequently with something more exquisite than anything you could have orchestrated. This is the profound wisdom that enlightened teachers have shared throughout history, that you needn't deserve affection or battle for safety or clutch at contentment. These elements are inherently yours. They arrive naturally when you cease obstructing them with your anxiety and domination. As you release more, existence provides more, not as compensation for virtuous conduct, but as the organic consequence of eliminating the barriers to what was perpetually attempting to reach you. Regardless, therefore release control and discover what it signifies to be genuinely, splendidly present. The current is prepared to sustain you. Your only requirement is to cease resisting it and discover how to drift.